I've never gone to anger management sessions, so there are times in my life that I probably should have. In my 40s, I'm way more chill than I used to be. I don't think I was ever a mean person, but I'm definitely a petty person, and both experience and therapy have taught me to take a step back and work on myself. Still, I have my shower moments, in the morning when you're in the shower and you're having an internalized argument with someone you feel has wronged you in some way. And as the warm water pours down your head and body, you think of exactly the perfect burn, the exquisite retort that you should have said to them, owned, dunked. But it doesn't help anything because it's all just unresolved anger, and anger is only useful when it's examined, never when it's enjoyed. I still get angry, of course, and I still carry anger with me and probably always will, but I have better tools now to help keep it all at bay. I know there are many reasons people hurt us, and mostly it has very little to do with us. They hurt us because they themselves are angry at their parents, at their substance abuse, at their jobs, at the world, at themselves, and they take it out on us. If I respond personally to that, I'm only feeding the anger and not actually protecting and healing myself. So I regroup and reflect on how to confront the other party involved in my hurt. Another option, though, is to go find the old crone in the woods and ask her to summon a xenomorph to murder that motherfucker. It's cheaper than therapy, and all you have to do is mind your own fucking business while that monster smashes these assholes like a dirty rug. Ed Harley of 1988's folk horror Pumpkinhead does exactly this, except he doesn't enjoy the fruits of his vengeance, and so he finds himself trying to protect a slew of 80s douche teens. And I'm not here to tell you that all douches must die, only that I don't think I'm going to work hard to try to save them. I'm busy meditating on my feelings. Hi, Cecil.
Hi, Jeffrey.
If you had a local witch, what would you go ask her for?
A nicer house,
That's
like preferably one made of gingerbread, maybe.
I like that the cost isn't gold for that. Like the cost is going to be like, okay, but the traffic is going to be really loud.
I
It's
that's
always some
that's fine.
trade-off. Yeah.
There's going to be some tourists that are going to want to stop and take a picture of your gingerbread house all the time.
Yeah.
I think I could handle that.
Yeah. I love my apartment here, but yeah, the traffic is loud and the water pressure is just not what I want it to
Oh
be. I know,
no.
which is a
You got
super
a
big bummer.
dribbly shower?
Yeah, it's very easily affected by anybody else thinking about water in the building. So it's kind of a just below normal water pressure. And then if somebody like flushes a toilet on the second floor, it just shuts off for a second.
You got to take those 1 a.m. showers when
That's
nobody else is
exactly
up.
it. That's right. Um, so we watched Pumpkinhead
Yeah,
because we did Gloopy Gloppy meets Monster. What did we roll? We had
I
something
don't
in
know.
there. Yeah.
Something.
It wasn't as gloopy gloppy as I thought it was going to be. It was really where I was thinking. It's more folk horror. I really didn't
Oh
know
yeah.
anything about this movie going into it. And I'm sort of interested in the folk horror aspect of it, and I thought that was really interesting. I thought it was going to be a lot more like just gnarly creature like tearing people's rib cages open and
Yeah.
like feasting on the awful inside.
No, no, not as much. More plot than I had anticipated as well. I've not seen this movie in forever.
Hmm.
But as soon as the opening credits came in, weirdly enough, I've seen this opening scene where they like the family denies entrance to the guy. I have
Uh-huh.
seen that like many times, weirdly enough. Like
Interesting.
like it was on TV and a movie was starting and I that was the scene and I had something else to do. But this has happened to me a couple of times. So I feel like I've seen this opening sequence up through like, with the dog,
Uh-huh.
like with the kid and the dog and like all that sort of like, oh, look, dad with the kid and the dog. But I had never, but it's been like 20 plus years since I had seen actual Pumpkinhead.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I'm a big fan of the folk horror and even like the fairy tale model of storytelling, like the pretty simple, straightforward. You make a bargain with the devil or the local crone in the woods. The thing you think you want, you're going to pay a price for,
Yeah.
whether it's Monkey's Paw or Stephen Sondheim's Into the Woods, whatever
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, it's also got this great intro. I love this intro. It sets up really, really well. It's 1957, and father and mother, Tom and Ellie, and their young boy, Eddie. in this old farmy cabin. Where do we think this is? Is this kind of like Appalachian?
It looks like California.
Yeah. Okay.
It really looks like California.
All right. I
I think that
wasn't
might
sure.
be I think that might be a budgetary
Right.
necessity, but this feels like it should be taking place in like West Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, somewhere.
Yeah, I was kind of at times thinking like, is this the Ozarks? Like, are we in like
Yeah,
Arkansas, Missouri sort of area? I wasn't
because I was
sure.
like, by the time we get to the Swamp Witch, I was like, are there swamps in California? I don't know if
Yeah.
that's really a hallmark of this biosphere, but okay, here we go.
And then also there's the whole like the Wallace family pig farmer people that all
Yeah,
look like they're out of Grapes of Wrath.
yes,
And yeah,
yes.
there's a lot. So,
But no,
well,
this definitely is like Appalachian revenge country death song.
mhm.
Like, gather round the story, kids.
Well, and we even get in the opening credits, it says that this movie was inspired by a poem by Ed Justin called Pumpkinhead,
Oh, did you
which
find the poem?
I did. Do you want me to? It's a very short poem. I could just read the
Oh,
poem
Jeffrey,
here.
please, please, Jeffrey. Oh, please, Jeffrey, please read us a story.
Which Muppet voice should I do it in?
Miss Piggy?
I can't do any of the Muppet voices. All right, here's the poem. Keep away from Pumpkinhead unless you're tired of living. His enemies are mostly dead. He's mean and unforgiving. Laugh at him and you're undone, but in some dreadful fashion, vengeance he considers fun and plans it with a passion. Time will not erase or blot a plot that he has brewing. It's when you think that he's forgot, he'll conjure your undoing. Bolted doors and windows barred, guard dogs prowling in the yard won't protect you in your bed. Nothing will from Pumpkinhead.
Oh,
Ooh, it's good. It's a nice, like, just short, spooky poem.
yeah,
I could, and they extrapolated that out into a folklore mystery. I mean,
yeah,
it's the boogeyman. It's
yeah.
Bloody Mary. It's the what did we learn about with Julia Schifini? Mary Green Teeth or whatever her name
Very
is.
green teeth.
Well, the British tale, the British folk horror tale of the don't go play in the water, kids, because
Ah, yes.
Nancy Green Teeth will get you or whatever her name was.
Ooh. I could definitely hear some sea shanties set to this poem.
Sure, yeah,
It's got that iambic pentameter or whatever going.
yeah. Well, we've got Tom and Ellie, and Tom's looking real twitchy, holding his
Yeah.
rifle and locking
It's a
up the
tense night. It's a
yeah,
tense
locking up
night out on the farm.
yeah. He's got to lock up the car and put away the horses and bar the door. And there's a man on the run through the woods. This is Clayton Heller. We briefly learn his name, and he is running from something that is pawing at him. And he gets to the Harley home and pounds on the door. And he's like, "For God's sake, Tom, let me in. Let me in." He's like, "Nope, sorry, dude.
You're marked.
You are marked." And he's like, "You need to get away from my house or I will shoot you."
Oh,
And he's like, and Clayton's like, "What kind of Christian are you?" Tom's
it's a good
like,
question.
"It is a very good question." Also, Clayton says, this is such a good teaser of a line. He says, "I didn't kill that girl. I didn't do that." And Tom says, "I don't know nothing about that. Just
Uh-oh.
get away from my house."
That's the Christian way.
Mm-hmm. And anyways, he then gets away from his house, and it's little Ed that goes up to the window, and he sees the silhouette of beastly Pumpkinhead grabbing Clayton and choking him out, I guess. It's funny because in
Long
Wikipedia
fingers.
says that like it catches him like devouring him or eating like, and I'm like, well, he's not really. He's just kind of holding him up.
He's just sort of shaking him around.
Yeah,
Just like, you owe me money.
that's right. He kind of just beats these people like a dirty rug. Like he lifts
Yeah.
them up and smacks them around.
Just shakes him around. Yeah, very cat-like Pumpkinhead.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna get you, but
Yeah.
first I'm gonna grab you by your head and just swing you around a little bit.
I've never been to a chiropractor, but this is kind of what I imagine it's like.
This is pretty much what it's like.
Okay. So we jump to the present day, and now we see grown-up Ed Harley. He is a widowed father of a lovely young boy, the same boy that Hollywood has always used. This
Yes.
8-year-old child is in every movie from 1933 to present day.
Uh-huh.
Blonde
Well, I
hair.
mean, yeah,
Yeah, he's Jerry Maguire child, which doesn't match up
absolutely.
timeline wise, but he
Yep.
absolutely, I was like, is that the kid from Jerry Maguire, a movie that came out like 7 years later?
Sure, why not? And it's also like Lance Hendrickson, who is very like oiled up,
Mm-hmm.
like alpha male,
Yeah.
like the kind, sensitive alpha male, the like strong but capable, taking
It's
care of business, which is kind of funny after watching the last movie, which was all just like sort of emasculated male. Now we have sort of idealized male
yeah.
in the exact same setting in the rolling hills of,
Mm-hmm.
Northern California or whatever.
Yeah. It's yeah, they've created a character who is like good but good but focused slash stern dad, but
Mhm.
loving dad.
Yeah.
We get these moments with him and little Billy, as Ed gets home from making a run to the feed store, whatever the shit. I don't know. He runs a store basically.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was doing, but he gets home and he like washes Billy's hand. They make like a little game out of it. He's telling him stories. They go have breakfast together. He's got to do a lot of work, but when Billy's like, "Daddy, I made you a present," he's like, "Oh." Puts away his work. He's like, "Show me, kiddo. I love it. It's great. It's hideous, but
Oh,
I
I'm
love it."
gonna wear this every day.
You don't have to wear it every day, just when the inspiration strikes.
Oh, thanks, Billy. Now, I've never had kids, but I do wonder what is the oh, we're gonna put this one up on the fridge. This is a masterpiece.
Uh-huh.
Do you keep it or do you toss it
I think what you do is you make eye contact with the child and then you just crumple it up right in front of them.
into the garbage disposal?
Yeah. No, no, no. You just drop it on the floor and then you walk away. I
That's it.
think. I don't know.
That's
I'm
the
not,
parenting style.
again, not a parent. Just going off
Try
of
again.
what I learned from that's not true. That's not anything my family did. So, yeah, we set up that we know right away this child is going to die
Yes,
because he's
because he
so
is so loved.
he's so loved, he's so precious to this man.
Like they're like making a game out of spraying water on the vegetables. Come on. No, any childhood this idyllic has got to end in tears.
Yeah. This is why you shouldn't love your child because
Mhm.
something bad will happen.
You're just setting yourself up for tears.
Mm-hmm. And never love anything really is kind of the way I live.
That's it.
We'll cut to 1980s douche teens.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
Wow. Monster truck, some sort of Corvette
I think it is a
kind of
Corvette. Yeah.
action.
Yep.
Fully like open my beer while I drive, and I can like recklessly pass my friends on the highway. They've got motocross bikes.
Mm-hmm.
Come on. What more do you want from 80s douchebaggery?
Oh my God. Well, I want one of them, at least one of the boys, to be wearing a headband.
Oh my
Check.
gosh. And I could also have done with some bare midriff,
Mm-hmm.
some like tight jean shorts and some furry belly buttons.
Mm-hmm. I want one girl to be wearing a vest.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. A vest and cowboy boots.
There's a I the I was really interested in this group of 80s teens because the dynamics between them is kind of unbearable.
Baffling.
Unbearable. Yeah, it's
I
baffling.
was I was like, why are you all together? This
Who
is a
Yeah.
like okay. This dude and this dude are brothers.
Okay, check,
We've
check.
got sort of like we've got kind of like pure asshole brother. We've got apologetic brother, and then there's sort of nerdy friend, and then a girl with camera
Girl with
who
camera and her like
seems
nerdy
to
or
be,
preppy boyfriend. I can't tell if he's nerdy or
yeah,
preppy.
he's pretty nerdy preppy,
Hmm.
you know. And then we've got sort of wallflower girl, and
Uh-huh.
then we've got big frizzy hair girl.
Yeah, hot
Now,
girl.
hot girl, but it's very much, these teens are a little bit interchangeable, except for like we have the polarity of morally, like on the morality spectrum, we've got like one end in I just killed a kid and I ain't going back to jail, no way, not no how,
Mhm.
versus we have to call an ambulance for the child who has already died.
Mhm. Yeah, they also don't do a kind of laugh sometimes when a movie does a roll call, but I love a
Yeah.
roll call, and they don't do a roll call. It takes forever to learn these people's names. And in
Yeah.
fact, our final girl, who is Tracy, for the longest time in a group, they're like shouting Maggie, and I wrote her name as Maggie, but Maggie is the wallflower girl. It takes forever to get these kids' names in this movie. There is no real setup for who's who
Yeah.
and why.
Not as much. Not as
No.
much.
I think the thing I was interested in exploring is like you said, like I'm not sure how this group of high schoolers came together. One, at high school. I'm interested in their Beverly Hills 90210. I
Yeah.
want to know who's friends and why. But also like Joel, the evil one, the oldest brother, evil Jersey guy, he is criminally insane.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering at what point do you all say, I think I know who the villain is here?
I know, right? And Steve, I believe is his
That's his
brother.
younger
Steve
brother, Headband
is the
Steve.
apologetic, like, oh, he's just always been like that, tearing wings off birds,
Uh-huh.
kicking dogs. That's just his way.
Uh-huh.
So, do you want to spend the next 5 days in a 2-room cabin with him? This sounds like a great time.
Well, and that was the thing where I was like, I'm interested in this horror movie because Steve and Joel make senses because you can do a lot with siblings. It's
Sure,
very common
you
for
can't choose your
siblings.
family.
Yeah, it's very common for siblings to have two disparate kids, that go completely different directions.
Yeah,
And uh and so that notion that these two brothers but they would have this common interest of like I like to go out and dirt bike. And it's sort of interesting to have like super evil brother and younger brother who's actually very sweet, but when he's around his older brother is protecting the fact that he's doing this. And I'm sort of interested in like his Steve's other friends come with him and his brother to camping and they all realize his brother is a psychopath. I'm
yeah.
like, I want to see that movie. That's really interesting.
When you say yes to a vacation like a few months in advance,
Uh-huh.
and then you actually get there and you're like, oh no, we've made a terrible decision.
Yep. Why am I with these people?
Uh-oh.
Uh-uh. So, but that's we'll get to their cabin situation later, but what happens is they stop at the Harley grocery store, in the middle of Bakersfield. I don't know where we're at. And already the dog, the Harley family dog, Gypsy, is losing its fucking mind at these douche teens.
People. It's people. It's
It's
people.
people. And the dog always knows who's evil and who's not, and the dog is very much signaling evil. And okay, so here's the other thing. So we've got Tracy in this group of teens, and she's interested in photography. One, she does not change the lens on that Canon AE1 at all. So she's
No,
trying to take action photos from a distance of 60 yards with like a standard 35 millimeter. Like
I
there's
know,
no
right?
zoom lens on this.
No.
Oh, dear God. She's also really interested in being a middle or upper middle class white kid and taking pictures of poverty. So they like pause on the highway to take a picture of a hobo with a shotgun.
Yep. I want to see that movie. Why?
Well,
What?
good
How is
news.
this? How
Good
is
news.
this?
There is that movie.
Oh, is
Oh,
there?
there's a
Hobo
movie
with a
called Hobo
shotgun?
with a
Yes. Yes,
Shotgun.
I know.
Yep.
No, but I want to see, like, I don't know. This movie is setting up that, like, okay, suburbanites,
Mm-hmm.
once you cross the threshold into the country, weird things can happen. You can't just go to the Orange Julius at the mall.
Yeah.
And I think, again, it's kind of interesting coming off of the movie we watched last week, this sort of, 20th century, like, um, sort of class warfare that
Mm-hmm.
we have going on of like, we got these dirt bikes. Let's just go out and hang out in the country. This will be great. And then having to uh accidentally dip their toe into the darker sides of country living.
Yeah. Well, they stop at this grocery store and they're like, "Well, this is also a great place to dirt bike." And what cracks me up is this building, this Carly's Grocery, is in literally in the middle of nowhere. Like
Yeah,
you can see in the wide shots for miles in all directions, there is nothing else. And they just park in front of his building and start dirt biking. And I'm
yeah.
like, this is when you go into a giant like truck stop bathroom with a row of like 10 urinals and you just go to one and one other person comes in and they just go right next to you.
You're like, you had all this
You
space.
had all the space.
Well, I think the reason the dirt bikes come out is because Joel makes a Coke bottle glasses. Hey, check out this kid with the glasses. Oh
Uh-huh.
no. And all of his quote friends, because are they friends? Question mark. Whoever the plot gods have thrown these disparate characters together are
Uh-huh.
like, oh God, don't you don't need to make fun of the like 7-year-old
Right?
in order to establish dominance in the group anymore. And he's so huffy that that's when he gets out the dirt, because he's like, all right, fine. If you don't like the way I talk, then you're gonna love the way I dirt bike. Blow off some
Unbelievable.
steam.
I just started referring to them as dirt bike shitheads, which is another phrase I took from Josephine because they uh where he was where he lived in upstate, there's definitely when they moved up there was definitely a bunch of dirt bike shitheads riding around in the neighborhood. And I love the phrase dirt bike shithead. I think that's a really good phrase. I once said it as my Zoom name. Um just as a joke while talking to friends, and then I forgot about it, and then I had to do like a pitch meeting
Like
the
a
next morning,
business
and I,
meeting.
I
Yeah.
joined a pitch meeting with people to try and pitch a TV show, and I got on the line as Dirt Bike Shithead.
Well done.
Great move,
Well
smooth.
done. You're like, what's up, bro? So, like fully leaned into it.
Yeah.
Sunglasses on.
Sunglasses on the back of my backwards
Uh-huh.
ball cap. Sure.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so they're dirt biking.
They're
It,
zooming away.
yeah, the other kids have come into the store. They're just getting, whatever they're getting. Their groceries
They
for
get,
the
yeah,
weekend at the cabin. He
normal.
doesn't have beer. Bummer. Like, you guys
But
should
he
have got
does have
that.
Doritos
He
or
does.
Cheetos or one of the two.
And paper towels and all that bullshit. Then we've got the Wallace family shows up. And this is Father Wallace and his kid and grandkids. And they are very dirty 30s looking. These
Ah, the grapes of wrath.
Mm-hmm.
Which is again like this kind of Appalachia meets Dust Bowl meets, Steinbeck.
Yeah.
Sort of it's Americana. And
Uh-huh.
even though it's the 80s, we're like the 1950s, 1957 and 1988, it does look very 1930s.
It really does. Well, these kids come in and they're setting up just how rural and removed these kids are from normal suburban society because there's the youngest boy is somebody mentions Tracy's camera and he's like, "Well, it's a camera."
They're
"Well,
like,
I
"Oh, you
use
know
it to
what a
take
camera is,
pictures.
shithead?"
Here, watch, I'll show you." And she takes a picture of him and I'm like,
And
"That doesn't
steals
prove
their soul.
Yeah, and also that doesn't prove anything to this child." Like
No.
he just sees this weird box hanging around your neck and you hold up and you're like, "Watch this." And you go click. But nothing happens. It's not like a Polaroid where something occurs.
It's like, I'm going to enjoy this months later after I develop it.
Yep, and you will never see me again.
No, no.
Well, the older kids start teasing the younger kid about Pumpkinhead, and they start chanting some variation of that poem that I read earlier about. Classic story kids tell each other, boogeyman story. One of the lines was he rips off your head and drinks your blood, which is pretty dope.
Cheers.
And the little boy is finally like, please stop, please stop.
Well, I think it's Tracy who steps in,
She
and she's
yells
like,
stop.
"Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, unwashed children of California, you're playing too mean. This is too mean."
Yeah. I'm like, you're the one hanging out with Joel. Like
I
I
know, right?
Okay. So now we're gonna get into our inciting incident wherein now younger brother Steve and Joel are both dirt biking together while all the other people are just like, well, now, okay, I guess we're just sitting around.
We're just gonna watch these two just, you know, essentially see who can ride their dirt bikes the fastest
I
over
don't
the most
know.
terrain. Keep up, man. Are you ready to eat my dust, man?
You're also literally like 5 minutes from the cabin
I
that
know,
you're
right?
supposed to be going to. So why keep hanging out in front of this general store?
Yes.
Just go to your cabin, drop your shit off, and get going with your vacation. But Ed has gone on an errand because he's got to go take pig feed over to Mr. Wallace's farm, and he leaves Billy and the dog there.
Oh no. Unattended minor.
Uh, as much as I don't want kids and have made the choice not to have kids, I'm growing in this idea that I don't ever want a dog either. And I generally like kids and dogs both, but I'm just thinking about the level of just management of,
Yeah.
the advantage of a
The
child.
stupidity of both of them.
The advantage of the child is the child keeps getting smarter and wiser and grows up and learns things, and you constantly see them even into adulthood. You see people constantly grow and change. You're like, I made this person, and look at them become something special.
Look at them
A,
do their taxes.
a
Look at
dog
them.
caps out at a pretty low level of intelligence,
Yeah.
and this dog capped out at a very low level of intelligence
Yeah.
because
It's like dirt bikes. Time to play
they're
dirt
like,
bikes. Let's go play dirt bike. I want to chew on those tires. It's more, I was a little bit more the dog runs out. The child runs out. And like 2 minutes later, the children, the teenagers are like, is that a child? Oh, is that the same? Should we wait? Billy? Oh, Billy.
hey, little
Like
boy.
fully in the way. Like you
Yeah.
all, come on. In the era of teen babysitter movies, I know that none of you all were tasked with being a babysitter,
Hmm.
but if you see like a child running towards a dirt bike, I imagine your reaction time is probably like a little bit quicker than what these kids could throw
Yeah.
down with.
Yeah. They're very slow twitch here, these
Yeah.
teens.
We also have a classic, like, I think it's Maggie, maybe, like tries to run and then trips, and then all of her friends are like trying to help her rather than the kid. And
Yeah.
I
And I
do I
can't
do love I do love a horror movie fall for no reason.
yeah.
Like we just have to like sort of separate the characters across the lens of the camera and also make a plot in which in what is only just a few yards they could easily go, come here, small child,
Hmm.
with your small legs. Come to us.
Yeah.
But instead it's got to be like, oh no, she lost her flip-flop. Oh no,
Yeah.
let's help Maggie find her flip. Oh, somebody's dying. Oh fuck.
Yeah. This whole movie, everything that happens that has consequences can be traced back to Ed Harley being an absolute bona fide idiot. Like the choices he makes, like he has this precious little boy,
Yeah.
Like this
Yeah.
is the type of kid. He is not old, and this is not the kid that you say, Mommy and Daddy are going out for dinner. You can stay home and watch yourself. No, no, no. This is a child who needs a babysitter. He's at
Yeah.
that age. Like I'm guessing like 6 is his age, right? 6 or 7.
Yeah.
And he just, with these dirt bike shitheads in front of his store, he just leaves his kid there and is shocked to learn weird shit happened when he gets
Something
back.
went afoul. Yeah.
Yes.
I think again, it's the when you're poor, you can't afford childcare. So
Uh-huh.
you got to just be like, I don't know, just don't touch the stove while I'm gone.
It also, though, seems like all you're doing is driving up to your house to get the feed, which is what he said to
Yeah,
Mr.
10-minute
Wallace.
errand. 10,
Yeah.
15-minute errand.
So we're just going to get feed. hey, kiddo and puppy, hop in the cab. I'll lock the store up. Hey,
Well,
kids, store's closed for the next 20 minutes. And he doesn't do, I don't know, it's just very confusing, but we do need some impetus to cause things to go wrong.
yeah.
And things go wrong because, you know, Joel runs over Billy. Billy gets his ass runned over by a dirt
Now
bike.
this also was very confusing to me. Just I
Hmm.
think it was more the child acting abilities
Yeah.
because it's like the kid goes down and I was like, "Oh no, he's looks like he's paralyzed and he's alive for quite a bit." And we get
Uh-huh.
some like phenomenal 80s child acting in that it's very nondescript. Like just
Yes,
look sad, Billy. Just look tired. I was like, Billy just looks like he needs a juice box.
he
But in
does.
fact, he is dying or dead
Yeah.
because Ed Harley makes it back.
Uh-huh.
Oh, the kids have oh my god, the reactions to what has happened by the kids is vastly diverse.
Right. So Joel is like, I'm getting the fuck out of here because I've been drinking. And so we learn that he has a previous case where he hit somebody while drunk driving. And so he's on probation. So one more situation like this, and he's going to the electric chair, as he says. And so he, like, one smacks his girlfriend, is like, get in
Yeah,
the car.
like bullies her into getting like into being his accomplice.
Yeah. And then they drive off to the cabin in the Corvette. The other kids, there's no phone in the store, which makes no fucking sense that the store doesn't have a phone when there's phone
Yeah,
technology out here. So they're like, we'll drive to the cabin
use the
and
phone there.
call. So they leave Billy to watch over this child, and Billy
Oh,
has
Steve,
no.
Steve to
Oh yeah, sorry, Steve to watch over Billy. So
yeah,
younger brother headband watching over dying child, and Steve has no idea what the fuck to do. Like
no.
he just is like crouched over the kid, being like, "Hey, kiddo, you all right?"
Your dad's coming soon. And sure enough, dad does get back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not much you can say to dad. You're like, I'm sorry. I think we killed your kid.
Yeah,
Is there anything I can do to help?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's a pretty terrible situation. It's hard to know exactly how you would handle this
Yeah.
if you were those kids. I certainly am not Joel. Certainly would lean more Steve in this situation, but they left no one there with Steve. So like,
Yeah.
I don't know why like other everyone else had to go. Why three other people had to go to the cabin?
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, Dad gets back. He's not speaking to Steve at all. Um, in fact, when Ed arrives home, Steve was like, Ed picks up his son and starts carrying him back wordlessly. And Steve was like, "Hey man, it was just an accident. Can I help? Can I do anything?" And he just gets death stare.
Ooh.
And this is his second horrible mistake from Ed, which is you didn't take any time to just understand the situation.
Yeah. No thought, no follow-up questions.
No. And also the third thing is he just goes inside with his kid and I'm like, do you literally not have a phone or you have a truck to drive
You have a
him to a
truck?
doctor?
Hospital time?
Yeah. He's so quick to go see the Witch of the Woods for vengeance, but not very quick to actually go see the doctor of the village.
I guess it's supposed to be implied that this kid is on his it's like this kid's gonna die.
Yeah.
Very much going to die. There's nothing that Ed could possibly do. But we do get a very lovely backlit sunny shot of him hugging his child as he dies in his arms. And the kid
Mhm.
looks up and goes, Daddy. Now, I will say this movie, maybe on a morality standpoint, is a little bit simple.
Yeah.
However, I want to sing the praises of this movie for something we've not touched on so far,
Sure.
which is the color story of this movie is phenomenal.
Oh, interesting. Say more.
This movie is so saturated with color and it's actually really gorgeous. So this is the director is Stan Winston, who's like this exceptionally famous movie creature, movie monster special effects artist. And this is one of the first films I think he ever directed. And he's like, I'm the director, but I'm working with my team, and, is clearly going to be very much about the monster, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the opening sequence with the cabin is this like warm fire lit red. Like there's one
Yeah.
scene where like mom is sort of peeking out the windows and she's like, everything inside is red. The Pumpkinhead, like outside, is this like electric purpley indigo violet.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to the rolling hills of California, it's this beautiful lush yellow. The color story, like the directing, the cinematography, is actually quite beautiful in a kind of unexpected way, if you don't mind the monster trucks and the dirt bike
Sure.
douchebags.
Yeah.
But I gotta say, like, some of the shots are really gorgeous in this film.
I think this movie is actually really, really well done in
Yeah.
so many ways. I actually, for all of the moments where I'm like, this plot point is so simple or silly or it doesn't make any sense, or
I mean, it's Pet Cemetery meets Evil Dead
yeah,
meets Country Death Revenge Song.
yeah, totally. But I find it really compelling. I sort of understand why this is a cult movie, or why, I don't know, cult is probably the right word, but it's a movie that really just bombed out in the 80s when it came out at the cinema, and has since been kind of, it shows up on a lot of like most underrated or overlooked horror
Yeah.
movies lists.
I mean, it inspired 4 sequels,
Yeah.
which I
It's
watched the trailer for the first of them, and I couldn't even make it through the trailer, Jeffrey.
oh no.
I was like, please, no, no, this must stop right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't call this a smart film necessarily so much as just, I think it's just well done. I think its techniques, I think its style is pretty interesting, and I don't know, I find it very credible in a lot of ways.
Yeah. It's as simple as a song. Like it's
Yeah.
as simple as a
Yeah.
poem.
I think that's a simple as a song is a great phrase. I think you're absolutely right. So we're at the cabin when Tracy gets up to the cabin to use the phone. Joel like pulls the cord out of the wall and is like, "No, oh, you're not leaving." He actually has to take a log and clock Chris across the head with it,
Yeah.
which is one of my favorite tropes in TV and film, is the idea that you could just conk somebody on the head and they're
The bonk.
unconscious.
Oh,
If
oh,
you
thank
hit
God.
somebody on the head so hard that they lose consciousness, that is a traumatic brain injury.
Yeah.
That is not uh that is, they're in bad shape. And
Yeah.
especially like top of the head. It's one thing in boxing when you get somebody just under the jaw. But it's another thing if you go top of the head unconscious, that person is not waking up the same.
We're operating under soap dish rules
We
here.
are.
Like
We
soap opera rules,
totally
like,
are.
oh my God, I've lost my memory. Just hit them on the head again, and they'll instantly regain their memory.
Yeah.
But like Joel ends up locking these two in a closet, which
Hmm.
already, you know what, this weekend is going to be a great time when you're already kidnapping your friends,
Yeah.
like, violently attacking and kidnapping because they're like, and what's your end game, sir?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then
What is
sure
it?
enough, and I even love even more is the redemption when they let him out. They're like, oh, he didn't mean it. Oh, poor guy. I know he had to go through some shit for those 6 hours that he kept me locked in the closet. He's all right.
That was my thing, which was I would have been, I'm not sticking around for shit.
Yeah.
I am finding those car keys and I'm getting out before Crazy Monster destroys our cars.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
We're almost there. We're not quite there
Not
yet,
quite
but this
there.
this cabin dynamic is and then of course you've got Maggie? Question mark? I
Yeah.
think it's Maggie
Yeah.
who is just like catatonically shocked by the death of the child. Like she is full trauma response, unspeaking, curled up under a blanket. And I think, one of the other girls, Kim says like, something's wrong with Maggie over
Yeah.
here. She's not doing good.
No.
So it's fires everywhere, just fires to be put out everywhere.
Very bad start to the vacation here in the South Dakota Badlands. I don't know. I don't know where we're
Yes,
taking
I
place
don't
here.
know, something.
Okay, so Ed goes to see Mr. Wallace because he's got his feed, but also he says, Mr. Wallace is like, all right, how much is the feed? And he says, it's free if you tell me about an old woman with special powers you heard about up in our hills.
And he unblankets his dead child that he has carried with him on this errand, which I was like, that is a bold move.
Uh-huh.
When you're out running errands and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, I gotta pick up the laundry, I gotta pick up some, we're out of milk.
Yeah.
I gotta go bury my kid.
Right.
I would think you sort of prioritize in a different order.
Yeah.
But he said he's going to get that feed to Mr. Wallace, so he will.
I just couldn't when he's carrying this kid around in the passenger seat of his truck. I was just thinking about the number of times I had been like, okay, well, here's a bunch of things I have to take to the post office to mail, and I'll set them in the seat of my truck, and then I'll drive around because I got to go to the store, and I've also got to go pick up this, and I've also got to go do this errand and whatever else. And then I forget. I drive all the way home, and I'm like, oh,
You forget
forgot.
the
You know what?
post
I'll
office.
just leave those there, and I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I'm just imagining, and then it's like 2 months later, and you still haven't done that, and they're still sitting in the front seat.
Like, oh, God damn it.
Oh, I keep forgetting to bury my kid. He shows Mr. Wallace the kid, and Mr. Wallace is like, I don't know nothing about that. And then he's
Nope.
finally like, listen, she can't help your boy. All she can do is take you straight to hell. You go home and you bury that kid.
Not bad advice.
Very good advice. But his grandson, Bunt, stops Ed on the road out. And he's like, I know about that woman. Her name is Haggis. She
All
lives
right,
up on Black Ridge.
oh my God. All right, Huck Finn.
Ah,
He's like, I'm in it for the adventure. I don't care where it goes. And Ed
um,
is like, okay, here's $10. Take me to the witch.
uh-huh.
And the kid's like, I'll take you halfway to the witch.
Yeah, that old woman scares the piss out of me.
Halfway to the witch and other short stories.
So he does. He goes to see the old crone, and
They
I
find
like this old crone. She's great.
I mean, yeah, she's got a fucking owl as a pet.
She's got a fire going.
She's got a rat.
Uh-huh. She got a little
She,
pile of tarantulas by the candlesticks.
she's got a spinning wheel.
Uh-huh.
I love anyone who's into fiber work.
Sure. Yeah.
Do it.
He comes in carrying his dead kid, and I think the first thing she says to him is, afraid raising the dead ain't within my power. I think it's pretty great.
I mean, just like being at like real car dealership, just like, listen,
Yeah.
here's the things we do, here's the things we don't.
This is
Necromancy, not on the list.
this is
You
Nightmare
got
on
to
Elm Street.
refinance somewhere else.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3, the therapy sessions. This is real talk.
Real talk here.
Real talk. I can't raise the dead. I can
Real
do
talk
other
in this
things.
room only.
Yep. So she's like, for whatever reason, he has gold coins.
Sure. They're silver dollars.
Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah, they're like
in the light.
they're like the
I was
big
like, does
they're
he
like
have
the
gold
big silver
coins?
dollars. Yeah,
Okay.
I know. It is a little unusual, but he like just starts rifling through it. He's like, yeah, but he's also got like necklaces. I was like, did you like mug a pirate on your way to
Yeah.
where are we? Are we in Neil Gaiman world? What is going on?
Yeah, I think that's why I thought it was gold, because of all of the other shit and rings and whatever else.
Yeah.
I was just imagining, like, is he going to pull out like a velvet pouch filled with jewels?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Oh, Haggis. But Haggis is like, you know what? I know what you're looking for, and I can do this thing, but it's gonna cost you. Why does nobody ask what it will cost?
No. Like,
No
get
one ever
specifics.
asks.
No.
Yeah.
This is why you need an agent in any kind of field where you're going into some kind of contract, because you need somebody to read the fine print, and you need somebody to ask very specifically in real language what's happening. And he never asks, what is the cost above cash that this will be? That cost is, well, I mean, you already know, right? It's his
Yeah.
fucking life and soul.
It's his life.
Yeah.
He doesn't even ask what. I mean, he insinuates that he saw the monster when he was a kid, and that's what he wants.
Yes.
But Haggis is not very forthright with what the process is, what's going to happen. I mean, I guess if you're at the Witch in the Woods Swamp Witch house, you're trying not to like burden her time too much.
Yeah. She tells him, all right, well, so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to go to the old burial ground at Razorback Hollow, and you need to.
Razorback Holler. Come
Mm-hmm.
on now.
Come on. That's where I got into Are We in the Ozarks now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so, and you're going to have to dig up a body and bring it back to me. And he's like, how
Which,
do I know which one? Oh, you'll
oh,
know.
you'll know.
And then when he gets there, I'm like, oh, I bet it's the one covered in melted pumpkins.
Like the one that is like raised 20 feet, like unnaturally above the rest of the landscape.
Uh-huh.
And some weird geological anomaly that is, in fact, covered with black pumpkins.
Yes.
This set piece, I was like, why are we not spending our entire movie here?
Yeah.
Because this set piece is freaking awesome.
It's
It's
really
also
cool.
the literal only link to the Pumpkinhead of the titular name.
Yeah, the whole idea that it's called Pumpkinhead is just because the body is buried in a spot that grows this
Like a
pumpkin
pumpkin
patch.
patch.
Yeah.
And also it has a rather large, oddly large cranium. But in fact, it's a little bit of a, it's a bit of a wish and a prayer. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, Pumpkinhead.
When we see this monster, it's very xenomorph looking. I mean, this
Yes.
man worked on Aliens, so the director did. So like it's taken the shape. Like imagine the xenomorph with human skin, and that's Pumpkinhead.
Yeah. But also with like the predator jawline, the sort of like
Yeah, kind
open
of like
out,
that. Yeah.
the four-way jaw.
It's got kind of more of a, yeah. It doesn't have like the second retractable set of teeth like
No,
the
it's
alien
not. It's
has.
not as nosy
No.
as the xenomorph.
No.
But sure enough, he climbs up this goddamn. I don't even know what you would call it, hillock. This hillock,
Uh-huh.
and he's like, "Well, I guess I got to unbury this creature that supposedly was a child was born many, many, many moons ago, and it was so hideous that they just put it out in the old graveyard, and there it lies to this day." And he's like, "Well, okay." So here I go digging through the dirt to pull this another corpse. Is supposed to burying his son. He's gonna, unbury this corpse of a Pumpkinhead
Mm-hmm.
and bring that sucker back. Which again, I'm like, very carefully wrapped up his child, but this thing, he's like, yeah, just get in the truck. I'll
Yeah.
vacuum that. I'll vacuum that out later. The corpse dirt off the inside of my Ford.
This is where I think you should always invest the extra $500 in a bed liner when you're buying a
Yeah,
truck.
seat covers. Seat
Yeah,
covers.
see, or just, yeah, I mean, he's got to put that thing in the bed, right? He doesn't put that in the front seat with it. Did he? I
don't
missed
know.
how he got it back.
No, he just sort of shows back up at the witches, and he's
Yeah.
got this like maggoty, grave dirt
Yeah.
mini corpse.
Mm-hmm. And she takes his blood. I think she takes his son's blood too, and
Yeah.
like puts it in a cup and then
Swirls it together.
swirls it together. Yeah, it's
Feeds
classic.
it to the Pumpkinhead.
Classic old fashioned. My only note is I think you should chill your glass first.
Chill your glass.
Yeah.
Maybe a sliver of orange slice would be delightful in there.
Yeah. So she we see the monster rising up, and Ed is just staring at. I do love this line. Ed is just staring at it like, wow. And you finally, after a pause, hear Haggis go, "You can go now, Ed Harley."
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
The game's begun. What game? Oh no, I forgot to ask anything before I made this terrible rash decision.
Yeah, driving back in the middle of the night,
He's loopy.
he is
Like
loopy.
it's a wonder he stays on the road.
Yeah, he almost
he is
runs
now
another truck off the road.
Yeah. Which I kind of thought was like, oh, is that Mr. No, okay, all right, no, not a thing. All right, he just sort of collects himself.
Yeah.
But he's now psychically linked to the Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, he can see
I am
and
you,
feel it.
and you are me, and we are the Pumpkinhead. Cuckoo cuckoo, Mrs. Robinson.
And he imagines little dead Billy sitting up and being like, "What'd you do, Daddy?" and
Listen,
it sends him
full
into
full on cemetery, pet cemetery.
pet cemetery. Yep.
Like if the ghost of your dead kid is like, you fucked up, Dad.
Uh-huh.
Oh no.
Yeah, he then goes to bury the boy next to his wife, Lynn.
And he's
Lynn
still pretty
Harley.
like, those kids got him, Lynn. I'm just trying to.
Yeah, they killed our boy, Lynn, honey. Now they got to pay. That's, I think,
Yeah.
his exact statement.
Ruh-roh.
Ruh-roh. So we're back at the cabin. Steve is bargaining with Joel, being like, listen, Joel, fucking chill. I'll take the blame.
I'll say I did it.
Yeah. They're not, it was an accident. They're all
Not
worried
no
about.
way, not no how.
No.
Now sit there in that chair and shut up for the next 4 days until I figure out what's going on.
So Maggie starts hearing voices and just gets up and wanders outside.
Pumpkinhead. Pumpkinhead makes a very specific sound, has a very specific sound and a very specific light look in this film.
Mhm.
And I quite like it. It's almost David Lynchian in that it's like everything is lit by candlelight or by firelight in this movie, as I said before, which is a really lovely, warm, orange red glow. But Pumpkinhead is like that, like filament kind
Yes.
of white light.
You know what I wrote down actually, now that you're bringing up the color story of this movie, I wrote down that Pumpkinhead's presence looks like the TV left on in the living room.
Yeah.
That feeling of what's that light on? You walk out in the living room, that kind of bluish white glow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the color of Pumpkinhead's light. Just very David Lynch.
It's very David Lynch. And also the Pumpkinhead makes a sound like not dissimilar to like rattlesnakes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it has sort of like a shaker, like a kind of throughout that is hard to place.
Smoke monster. Yeah.
You're so pumpkin. That's so Pumpkinhead. My favorite Disney Channel remake.
Stop trying to make happen. Okay,
Pumpkinhead
so
just like walks away sadly. Oh. But on Wednesday we wear pink, right?
Maggie wanders out into the woods, and it's Steve who runs up to her and is like, hey, come back in. Everything's cool. Hey, she's got a little cross. Oh yeah, that's her personality trait. She's super Christian girl. I'm like, who are all of these kids together?
Yeah, how did you all meet? What's going on? Why are you together?
So he like shows her cross around her neck.
Believe in this. Like this is so the 80s was wild, man.
So weird. It's like,
they're
this
like
is
young life. He's like, I'm gonna young life the fuck out of this situation.
And it does work because she's like, oh, you're Steve. Hey, Steve. Yeah, okay. Focus here. But Steve
immediately
just gets yanked up into the tree.
I gotta say, Pumpkinhead's MO is fucking stellar. I love it. Pumpkinhead cannot be seen because clearly it is when you're dealing with like large animatronic creature special effect, you got to tease it out.
Uh-huh.
So Pumpkinhead could be anywhere, but mostly he's up in a tree.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, this is not like adverse weather. This is not the Revenant, like this is not, snow-capped mountain. Like you could probably see Pumpkinhead, but they don't see Pumpkinhead because I don't know, they're trying to like promise ring each other back into sanity here for a second. But Pumpkinhead, supported by his toes, I imagine like a bat, just fully like basketball palms Steve's head and just picks him up and just lifts him out of frame.
I was constantly thinking about basketball in this movie because of because he picks people up like a basketball, like he's fucking Wilt Chamberlain, just like, whoop, I'm gonna just hold this ball. And two, because he's very vertical. So he's all about yanking people straight up into the air.
Yeah.
And then straight back down. So I love the directionality of how he kills.
Yeah.
Because we'll see when he kills Kim later, he hauls her ass all the way up to the top of this 100-foot tall tree and then just back down.
Bye.
And I'm like, I want to see this. I want to see this monster in the NBA draft. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know. Let's bring back the power forward game.
Oh
Put
my
this guy,
God.
put his back to the basket.
Pumpkinhead's like in the basketball like locker room, like getting himself psyched up,
Oh my
you know,
God.
into the Rocky soundtrack or something.
Yep.
But Steve is gone.
Yeah.
Kim is runs back into the cabin. She's like,
Yep. Maggie. Yeah.
Pumpkinhead. I mean, she's not saying Pumpkinhead because they haven't quite put that together yet.
Well, she's like, it was the devil. The devil's
Yes.
killing him. And they're like, there's no
Nice.
such thing as the devil. And she's like, yes, there is.
And immediately she walks outside and then she gets picked up in the exact same way.
And just up and over the house, too.
Yep. Pumpkinhead's chilling on the roof.
I really wanted to see a shot of like Pumpkinhead, like whipping a kid straight up in the air like a shot put or something.
Yeah,
I wanted to see a super wide shot of somebody, like, I don't know, like what would he do in the discus? I don't know,
Yeah.
with a human body. Also, okay, so this is where I was a little disappointed in the lack of gloopy gloppiness, because there's a lot of jump scares in this movie.
Yeah.
It's very creepy and spooky. Like, I'm not saying
Yeah.
it's not scary or that it's absolutely stupid or anything like that, but I was missing out on mostly the dead bodies are just people who've had blood painted onto their face.
Yeah. With like claws on top of their head going, oh
Yeah.
and then disappearing.
Most of the budget of special effects is just in the monster itself.
Which great.
Great. Good
Definitely
monster.
great.
Mm-hmm.
But Pumpkinhead does have a really kind of weird MO when it comes to killing people. It's all very off screen.
It's super off screen. And when we see them, it's just, oh, we put some red paint on their face.
Yeah. But now Steve gone. Was it Chris and Joel have gone out to look for him, which they find his bloody bandana.
Yeah.
They're like, uh-oh.
I like that Joel has his turnaround about what he's doing only after he realizes my brother might be dead. So he's like, you know what? I think I've done a lot of fucking up, hun. Kim, it stops now. I'm gonna let Chris and Tracy out. I'm like, oh, you're only because it helps you.
Yeah.
We are not exploring, we're not examining any of this relationship to Joel here.
This is the last kid. This is the last person I kill. Listen.
Yeah.
I swear to God, this is the last person that I'm going to recklessly endanger.
Right.
Heart, Scout's honor, going to meetings, I swear.
Yeah. So Joel and Chris grab rifles and they go out to find out whoever's hurting Steve, wherever he is. Tracy grabs a couple of butcher knives.
Which I do kind of love this fucking line. They're like, I think it was Kim who's like, oh, it's the devil. Only God can save us now. And Tracy's like, well, just in case God doesn't show up.
Yeah. We never see these knives again, though, which is a shame.
No.
I know.
Like this is really Pet Sematary meets Evil Dead.
Mm-hmm.
Cabin in the woods kind of situation. But the problem is that we never really stay in the cabin in the woods.
No.
Admittedly, sure, I'd be out the door too, but maybe not with a Pumpkinhead on the anyway. But Pumpkinhead destroys their dirt bikes, which sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Destroys the truck.
Destroys the cars. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I do like this shot though. Like when she's getting the butcher knives, the camera is moving through. From the dining room to the kitchen, and it passes by the window, and we see Pumpkinhead stalking past that window,
all puppety in the background.
Yeah, I was like, that's a great shot. It's so good. So when Maggie and Steve are being killed, this is when Ed is burying Billy.
Yeah.
But we cut 2 shots of Ed and we get this kind of like red overlay screen of Ed like cringing and falling forward. And we understand I think we know he can feel the attacks, but I think he can also see what Pumpkinhead is doing too. That was the gist I got, that he kind of,
okay. I can see that.
I think he could, but he definitely feels what's happening.
It's like he gets psychic bloodlust whenever Pumpkinhead's bloodlust is up. That sort of triggers Ed's psychic connection.
Yeah.
Which at this point, like, he has this like 2 times. So now we've got two of the 6 down.
Yeah.
And he's like, I got to go back to that witch. And she's like, here's 2 aspirin. It'll pass, is her actual, like, she's like, you'll get used to it.
Yeah. And he says, well, if you're not going to do nothing, I'll do it myself. And she says, you'll fail and you'll die, Ed Harley.
Oh.
And then he says, God damn you. He already has, son. He already has.
Oh man, Haggis the witch. Again, a little bit of like her old age makeup is amazing. Again, like respect to the special effects department on this, like very creepy, but it is a bit like we don't really know what to do with this lady.
No.
It's
No, they
like
very
we
much
made her look really old, but sit right there, don't move, say your lines, cackle, done.
Yeah. The script really got stuck in folk horror, evil moral fairy tale.
Revenge horror, yeah.
Yeah, revenge horror sort of thing. A morality lesson in it, and it sort of forgot character and plot mechanics and things like that. But it's fine. It's fine. We're just moving from point to point, and
1988,
sure. Okay, so we found out what happened to Maggie, which is she got brought up over the house, and I think this is maybe the best death in the movie because
as a horror movie, this is pretty fucking dope. So like all the kids now, and they've all seen Pumpkinhead now,
yeah,
which is an important beat in the horror movie, the Teenagers of Doom horror movie, in that like you could go on picking them off one by one, or you let them know, like everybody has to kind of be like, oh shit, the devil is actually after us. So we don't have to sit back and have a long contracted argument over it is, it isn't, it is, it isn't. However, Pumpkinhead's going to make it very clear because he just takes her body and like smushes her face up against the kitchen window, smush, 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 crashes her body through, and then leaves. Just be like, deal with this, motherfuckers.
Like a cat bringing you a dead bird. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Joel is beside himself, running out into the night, screaming, "I'm the one that you want." But Pumpkinhead is like, "No, I actually want your girlfriend."
I kind of want all of you.
Yeah, but right now,
collect them all.
I do like that Pumpkinhead is ordered, right? He has you, then you, then you. And so, like, as Joel is trying to confront the beast is like, it just pushes Joel aside and then grabs Kim and pulls her away. Which is then he takes her up to the top of the tallest tree in America.
Oh my God. And I don't know, there's something very, it's like Pumpkinhead looks real scary when he's framed in a doorway surrounded by electric, explosions. Pumpkinhead looks slightly less scary when sitting in a tree, KISSING. Like there's a little something, so just like chilling up in a tree with this body, and he's like, oh, just like lets her go. And they watch her fall Midsommar style onto a rock artfully placed. And I was like, whew, okay, halfway through, 3 of 6. Here we go.
Yeah, he's just running through his honey-do list. This Pumpkinhead is, yeah.
Just like you, then not you. I'll come back to you. You first, you next.
Yep. Ed is now tracking around looking for these kids and for Pumpkinhead in particular, but he finds Steve's dead body at the cabin. The kids have all run off because the remaining 3, because Tracy, Joel, and Chris, because now they're just pounding on all the locals' doors, like all of the Grapes of Wrath families around here, and no one is answering because they know the rules of Pumpkinhead.
Yep. Don't get Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, yeah. And one dude is like, "I can't help you. You folks is marked." And they're like, "What do you mean marked?" Cut to Pumpkinhead.
Rah! Pumpkinhead on the loose. They're like, oh, okay, get back in. However, Bunt, that rascally scamp, who wants a little bit of everything, he just wants to know. He just
Yeah.
wants to like just go check it out. So he sneaks out. He tells his sister, he's like, listen, I think I might have accidentally doomed 6 people to die.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go sort of help them by just
Yeah.
being their little tag along friend.
Yeah.
And he's the one who finds God, who's left? Joel, Steve, no, Chris,
Well,
Chris and Tracy.
it's right before this. It's just Chris and Tracy left because right before Bunt gets out,
Yes.
when Pumpkinhead shows up, Ed arrives and shoots Pumpkinhead.
Oh
He
yeah. That's right.
drops
That's right.
Pumpkinhead drops down, and then Joel walks over to Pumpkinhead. And they're like, Joel, don't do it. You don't know if it's dead.
Shoots
He
Pumpkinhead.
shoots Pumpkinhead in the head,
He's like,
kicks it a
now he's
couple
dead.
times. Now he's dead. No, he's not.
Which I mean, honestly, it's pretty, sort of logical. Like,
Mm.
okay, shoot the villain in the head, so okay, good work on you. But when you're dealing with supernatural things, sometimes the dead ain't just dead. Sometimes they come back. Pepperidge Farm remembers when the dead came back.
Farm remembers. Pepperidge Farm remembers Joel getting impaled on his own rifle.
Oh my God. I was like, Pumpkinhead, what are you doing? Are you gonna like cock your rifle with the dead body on it? Because I have seen that in a Robert Rodriguez film. Are we going there? No, we're not going there. Because I was like, does Pumpkinhead use guns? What?
No.
Oh no, Pumpkinhead just uses anything.
Yeah.
Smiling the whole time. There's a like, it's so weird, the sentience of Pumpkinhead. It's not like just a killing machine.
Yeah.
It's demonic. It has a like rationale to it. So it's not just pure blunt object.
Uh-huh.
It has a bit of style, Pumpkinhead, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree.
Has a flair, a panache.
It does.
Something.
Yeah. I like this is a good one too, because he impales Joel with the rifle and then lifts Joel up like a chicken satay and flings him around. So yeah, so this is Bunt slips out to go try to help Chris and Tracy. Ed like disappears for a bit here. He gets attacked by some direwolf or something. I don't know.
Well, when he's Pumpkinheading psychically linked, animals do not like him.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Because he's kind of turning into a Pumpkinhead is what's going on. He's the animals sense it. So he's being attacked by the family dog.
Yes.
And this is where we get our first instance of, when the dog bites his arm, Pumpkinhead feels it.
Yeah.
The other characters don't see this, but we do.
Yes.
So we're like, you've been
That's
Pumpkinhead.
Right. That's right.
Next on Crank Yankers, Pumpkinhead. You've been Pumpkinheaded. Pumpkinheaded. Which is also a porn, I think, when you get Pumpkinhead.
So they this is where we learn that connection of pain between that pain link is not just emotional.
Psychic.
It is it's actually linked through pain. So Bunt takes our last two surviving teens to this old church, which is such a weird little backstory. He's like, well, apparently there was a real push to get a community church around here back in the 40 years ago. And then they just never finished it, which says
it's
a lot.
It's a holy place. So Pumpkinhead can't go here.
Untrue.
I was like, surely they're going to go back to the pumpkin patch. This seems like a logical, like, I like a little bit of symmetry. I like a good set piece.
Yeah.
This set piece is a bit wasted. Like, we're trying to do that nod to, like, good Christian folk and on the outskirts of town, on the outskirts of the outskirts of the outskirts of town.
Yeah.
Your city religion don't work too well out here. And it's a pretty creepy looking old sort of Baptist-y church.
Totally.
But Pumpkinhead don't give a fuck.
No, I mean, this is another bit of the Pumpkinhead lore, which I sort of appreciate in theory, that they're like, this has nothing to do with God. I mean, we just last month did Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors on our Patreon. And it's really interesting because Freddy by no means seems like a Christian demon. But in Nightmare on Elm Street 3, they're like, oh yeah, the power of Christ compels you.
Oh, it absolutely
Yeah.
does.
And it's very funny. And I like in Pumpkinhead, they're like, oh no, the power of Christ has nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah.
This is some ancient shit going on.
It's pure vengeance, which I
Yeah.
think is at the heart of a lot of, folk country death stuff.
Yeah.
The revenge, the long black veil, like all that sort of very old school country death song kind of stuff is there are forces on this planet that have existed before us that humans can kind of like tap into.
Uh-huh.
But it is unconcerned with your Buddhas and your Muhammads and your Jesuses.
It really is. It really, truly is.
And if you fuck with some kid, you're going to get fucked with back.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing I appreciate most about this movie is that so many 70s and 80s movies, even to today, like we're still playing around with the like, you got to exercise it with a cross and with holy water and all this and a prayer in Latin and whatever else. And I'm like, no. The earth is very old and the spirits here are very out of our understanding and control. And I appreciate that that's what the movie's going for, that it like picks up a cross and kind of almost laughs at it. And it just kind of like hacks it against the wall and breaks it into pieces.
It's like, fuck this.
Yeah, I'm like,
fuck
what
your
is this
promise
supposed
ring.
to do? Yeah.
I'm not going to go listen to Pastor Dave sing his stupid acoustic guitar.
Yes.
Bam, bam, bam. And he just like crushes through the door. Also, like the church, listen, we love a porous space. We love a space, like we love a crumbly old porous space. Lots of light coming through from unknown sources.
Uh-huh.
It looks really cool.
It does. Okay, so they Ed has run off to Wallace's house to be like, oh, we got to stop this thing, Mr. Wallace. And Mr. Wallace is like, you get away from me and my kids. I will shoot you through this door.
You're going to get Pumpkinhead all over my front porch.
Yeah.
Pumpkinhead smells.
Chris has found one single dirt bike that did not get destroyed. And Tracy has the best advice, which is Chris, don't.
Uh-huh. And surprise Pumpkinhead. I do love Pumpkinhead so fucking stealthy.
Uh-huh.
Just like he's not there, then fully there. And he's got that fucking bicycle chain.
Yep.
So malicious. It's just like, where you going? What you got there? Which is, I don't know, kind of a silly bit of tomfoolery.
And then he does his classic vertical death, like throws him straight in the air and he falls back down.
He doesn't really die,
He
though.
doesn't. No,
he
just
lingers
gets
for a bit.
He gets jacked up. We see him still alive in the end, but motherfucker gonna walk with a limp is really it. So they all end up in the woods with Bunt, Tracy, fucked up Chris, and then Ed Harley shows up. So now we're all well met.
And Ed takes them back to his cabin. And this is where we have our Sam Raimi like putting together a weapon that will defeat Pumpkinhead. And we have chosen, spins the wheel, flamethrower.
Yep. Totally got a flamethrower. Tracy, like, at this point is also like trying to tell Ed, like, it was an accident. Like, she's trying to get forgiveness, but also like just explain, like, if you did this, like, why? Like, you could have just heard our side of the story. Still what went down. And he's basically like, that shit does not matter now.
It is that
train is out of the station. We're done. Here, take this flamethrower. So Bunt. So there's this moment, I wrote it down, but I forgot what it was. There's a statement in this movie where they talk about what, I think it's what Bunt's family tells him, like that Pumpkinhead The reason you just stay in your home is Pumpkinhead only is out to kill what it's supposed to kill or anything that kind of gets in its way.
Yeah.
That's essentially it. So if you don't get in its way, it didn't give a shit about you.
Like he's a hitman.
Yeah. Like he
Just
doesn't
don't be
need extra
just don't
bodies.
be a witness.
Yeah. Don't be a witness. Don't be a better. Don't
Yeah.
be, and don't be, attacking it.
Yeah. Don't be trying to put yourself in between it and its prey.
Yeah. But there's a moment wherein Pumpkinhead busts into the shed or corner
With
of
the
Ed's
cabin.
house.
I think
the
he's like
cabin.
in the cabin part while they're out in the shed
Okay.
building their Sam Raimi flamethrower.
And it's just Bunt and the dog in there. And Pumpkinhead like stares, but then turns around to leave. Like, you're not the droid I'm looking for.
Yeah.
But then immediately turns back around and is like, bah ha ha, fool jump, grab, yank.
Picks him up by his ginger little head.
Yeah. We presume that Bunt dies here, right? Like Bunt doesn't show back
Bunt,
up.
I think Bunt's still alive because
Is he?
Pumpkinhead sort of draws the two out of the
That's
barn.
right.
Kind of like this, like, I got your friend.
Uh-huh.
But we have a mishap with the flamethrower. It gets snagged on a nail.
Uh-huh.
And Ed Harley somehow, like at a walking pace, slams his shoulder into a pitchfork so hard
that it goes through the back.
Like goes through to the other side, which injures Pumpkinhead. Oh no.
Uh-huh.
And now I think they kind of our final quartet trio, whatever we're down to now, has kind of realized, oh, Pumpkin Ed.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Psychically linked.
So Ed, yeah, so as Tracy tries to kill it with the blowtorch, that shit doesn't work. It grabs her around the neck and lifts her up, and Ed is gotten into his truck and pulled out the pistol that is in his glove compartment, and then shoots. We don't off screen. We just hear the gunshot, but he managed to shoot himself in the side of the head, deliberately, to end his life, and it drops the monster.
Yeah.
Ed somehow manages to then continue to walk and stumble out into
grazed. Grazed.
It just grazed him, like he failed. Is that what happened?
Yeah, because it's like he's got the gun kind of like up rather than in.
Yeah.
It's like that versus that.
Okay.
That's how you lose it. That's how you sever your ocular nerves.
Okay. Oh, great. Good to know.
Just
so then the monster, because Ed is not dead, the monster comes back to life, and Tracy picks up his handgun, and Ed says, "Kill me."
Oh man, rough.
And she does. And Ed is dead, and the monster is dead, and the monster bursts into red flames like we saw in the opening credits.
I love that, like, they die in the exact same way. Like, it's a very specific camera move. Like, the ending here is pretty tight. When it comes to, like, Ed falls in a very specific way, dead.
Right.
Pumpkinhead falls in exactly the same way. Long moment of silence, and then unexpected demon fire.
Yeah. Oh, and here's why I wrote, Bunt is still alive. Bunt and Tracy are still alive. Chris is looking really fucked up, but he is moving.
Yeah, he's sort of, like, he may or may not make it, but
yeah. And then the last that we see, our little tiny short epilogue, is Haggis is burying Ed's body in Pumpkinhead's grave.
And he's already started to, like, shrink a little.
Yeah.
His head is starting to get enlarged a little.
Yeah.
But he's still got that ugly ass necklace on.
The end.
The end.
Shall we rate this movie?
Yes, let's.
All right. How approachable is this movie if you're horror film averse, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the least approachable, 10 being super approachable for the horror film averse? I'd give Pumpkinhead like 5 melty pumpkin patches out of 10. Like it's a little bloody.
Yes.
But It's a lot of jump scares, pretty classic 80s shit mixed with folk horror. Just it pulls its punches as far as gore goes, but I don't know. It's got a good spooky vibe. It's got some really good scares in it. The monster is great. It's very sad, which I think is a component of being horror averse. It's just watching sad things happen. And
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, I 5 out of 10. Like I think it's in the realm of a movie like Halloween. I think um it's way less gory than you think it's going to be. It's a lot more implied than anything else. So 5 out of 10 for approachability. As far as just an overall horror film in the scheme of horror, how do you rate this movie, Cecil?
This movie's pretty good. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
good. Is there a reason it needs to spawn four sequels, three sequels? I think not, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
However, this movie it's a little derivative of some other horror movies that we tapped on, but the special effects are an awful lot of fun.
Yeah.
So for that reason, I'm gonna give it a 7 out of 10 motocross dirt bags,
Dirtbike shitheads.
dirt bike shitheads.
Yep. Um, great. Well, let's figure out what movie we will watch next. You've got a scare die, I've got a style die. We'll roll those up, see what movie matches those two things. So, Cecil, if you roll a 1 on your scare die, our next movie scare is Angels and Demons. If you roll a 2, Haunted. 3, a killer object. 4, a zombie. 5, an animal. 6, wild card. Whatever scare we want. What you got there?
That's a 1.
We're going to get that Angels and Demons. Okay. So we're going to take the Angels and Demons. You roll to match it with the style that I roll. If I roll hold on, 2 seconds here. Let me just get my thing up. If I roll a 1, our style is Asian horror. 2, 1990s. 3, based on a book. 4, a bottle movie, something single location type of thing. If I roll a 5, it's a psychological horror. If I roll a 6, it's sci-fi. Sci-fi Angels and Demons should be real interesting. Okay, what do we got here? I got a 5. That is psychological Angels and Demons.
Right. All right.
All right, we got some decent ones on here. This is so this here is going to be, we're going to start with the movies we wrote down that would fit this, and then we're going to jump over to our Letterboxd and see what people, who follow us
There
on
are
Letterboxd
so
had in
many on the
mind.
letterbox, Jeffrey. Like
Oh my God.
18 movies, which we're going to try to truncate some of this, I believe.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, let me start. I'll start with the ones we wrote down because I think
Yes.
I wrote these down, and then you can tell us what's on Letterboxd.
Right.
Okay, the first one is the M. Night Shyamalan produced film Devil.
Ooh.
This is a
What
bunch of
happens when you're
strange.
trapped in an elevator with the devil?
One of them's the devil.
Sure, why not?
I've been very curious about this movie. This is very bottle movie too.
I've seen it. It's an awful. I mean, it's M Night Shyamalan, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And like great acting, great script.
Yeah, I've been intrigued in this. A movie I saw recently, was Sarah, the Bone Woman.
Ooh, I've not
This
seen this.
is
This looks
I
wild.
believe Mexican film. It is real fucking spooky, scary, mostly bloodless. It's way more like it uses a lot of horror movie sort of stuff, but it is a deeply psychological horror film with some really great horror visuals without being overly gory. Um, I say overly. It's got some. So if we're looking for something super bloodless, this might not be it, but it's real spooky. Next one, The Exorcist.
Quite
Mm,
psychologically scary.
yeah, I would say it's on the same level as with Sarah the Bone Woman as far as like how gritty, how gory it is, graphic it is. They're both kind of there, but without being like slashery. And then finally we got The Omen, another one kind of in the realm of The Exorcist, demon child kind of bullshit happening.
Just a child looking at baboons going crazy. They're like, oh no. All
Yep.
for you, Damien. This is all for you.
Jen Brown, past guest, had come up with the idea of Angels and Demons. And I think she had like one movie in mind, but I was really struggling to find angels in horror. And I know that they have to exist, but maybe our Letterboxd folks have some ideas.
I think they do.
So what do we have on Letterboxd?
Okay, what do we got here? Sea Flesher 82 says Hideous Sun Demon from 1959. Ooh, interesting year. Protagonist is a lizard monster created by radiation, but his demon is in the bottles at the bars he frequents,
What?
which is an amazing description.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what any of this means. Jeffrey, I hope you look this up
I
and
will.
get back to us. Fifth Hammer recommends Frailty, which is a movie that I don't think I've seen actually. This is one that like I kind of missed it when it came out. Widowed blue collar worker has a revelation. He must destroy those revealed to him as demons. Begins serial killing, a sort of God's hands killer kind of thing. So it's sort of a like like the psycho killer meets
Uh-huh.
Imagine Demons.
Yep.
And he thinks his two sons could have been. Oh no, what do you do when dad's gone over the bend? Weaponized Toaster brings us The Prophecy, which I think is you mentioned like Killer Angels. This is sort of LA homicide detective Thomas Daggert discovers lethal heavenly prophecy now being fulfilled on Earth. Christopher Walken as a sort of a rogue angel turned bad.
Oh, okay.
So you've got sort of the angels cast as the, overly righteous vengeance. But it's
Uh-huh.
got Virginia Madsen, Eric Stoltz, Viggo Mortensen, Amanda Plummer. This is a 1990s joint. They also recommend Angel Heart, which is, this movie's a lot. This movie's
Uh-huh.
a lot. Classic deal with the devil, sort of a 1930s film noir style in which Mickey Rourke is a PI and he gets hired to investigate, takes him to New Orleans. And, this movie is all over the map. Cinderella 72 recommends Midnight Mass,
Oh,
which is
sure.
good. Like, sort of like, are they angels? Are they devils? Are they
Yeah.
just vampires? We're
Mm.
going to have a talk about atheism over here in the corner for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Chuck and Knott recommends Constantine, which is a mixed bag of a remake from the John Constantine literary novels. Listen, Keanu Reeves does his very best, but
Yeah.
it does have Tilda Swinton in it.
Okay.
Also recommends He Never Died from 2015. I don't know this one. Jack, as a gritty thriller. Jack, a reclusive, immortal man with an appetite for human flesh,
Mm-hmm.
has life flipped on its side when a teenage daughter he never knew about comes into his life, forcing him out of the routine and his violent past when her life is threatened. What? Jack is an Old Testament character haunted by his past and visited by God.
Amazing.
So,
Okay.
piqued my curiosity there. The Jude reviews, it's not too sure about Bloodless, but something like Saint Maud,
Yeah.
kind of playing in the psychological horror film about
Mm-hmm.
angels and about Cronenberg. TA recommends The Devils, which is a very famous, very like banned in every country because this movie was just so sexually explicit and
Yeah.
dealt so. Now this one is definitely psychological. Are the devils real? Or are
Yeah.
we the devils?
Right.
Silent Judy recommends Jacob's Ladder. This one definitely is a good call, Silent Judy. It's definitely psychological, unsettling, wild fusion of angels, demons, psychological events. Good call on that one. St. Maud again. We've got Fallen, a psychological fallen detective trying to catch a body hopping, serial killing demon.
Okay.
That sounds kind of
Se-
intense.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Again, an Angel Heart. Something, let's see, Brave Crab recommends a dark song involved in an evocation ritual. Anything more would be spoilers. Thank you
Okay.
for the spoiler
To
alert.
jump in on Brave Crab's suggestion of a dark song. A dark song from 2016 was the movie that Jen Brown had in mind when she gave us this
Oh,
scare. So she was like,
gotcha.
so
Did,
just we'll just keep that in mind. Doesn't mean we have to pick it, but just
yeah,
something
but
to
definitely
note
flag
that
that one.
yeah.
Ganymede's Cup recommends It Follows, which I think is kind of an interesting take on the angels, demons
We've covered
sort of.
that though. We did that
Yes, we have
already
done.
for the I think
Yes.
Patreon. Yep.
Please subscribe to Patreon, and you have only $5 a month, and it gives you access to all of our past Patreons. You can
Of
watch it there.
course.
We've got a thirding of St. Maud, also Smile 2022.
Mm.
Very psychological. I don't know. I was underwhelmed with Smile. Please don't make me watch it again. Mr. Jellybean recommends Veronica 2017, 1991 Madrid. After holding a seance at school, a teen girl minding her younger siblings at home suspects an evil force has entered their apartment.
Okay.
Y'all, put down the Ouija boards.
Uh-huh.
We got another vote from Frailty, another vote for Fallen, and finally Benjamin Barron. I Trapped the Devil from 2019. Um, Steve isn't doing well, and Karen and Matt show up for Christmas, but Steve claims he's trapped the devil in his basement. Uh-oh.
Antics ensue.
Antics ensue. Listen, this job,
Uh-huh.
I love it.
Okay.
We got some good Rex there.
We do. Okay, so well, let's keep a dark song in mind because that was
Yep.
where this whole idea came from for Angels and Demons. I'm certainly interested in a movie you've seen that I haven't, Devil. I'm certainly interested in a movie I've seen that you haven't, which is with Sarah the Bone Woman. Those are standing out. And of course, The Exorcist, because I think it's one of the
Yeah.
pantheon horror films, right?
You know, honestly, I would put, to be honest, psychological Angels and Demons, I think I would put The Omen over The Exorcist.
Okay. All right.
Because
That's
it's
also
so
another one.
famous, like it's so famously kind of blood, like it is all psychological warfare.
Yeah.
Versus The Exorcist, which is I don't know, maybe they're kind of on the same page a little bit, maybe a little bit.
I would say the dark horse candidate here for me that I was really intrigued by is Weaponized Toaster's suggestion of The Prophecy 1995.
Right?
Because it is angels
Yes.
and demons.
Yes.
I don't know how psychological horror it's psychological horror. It feels more like action fantasy, maybe. I haven't seen it.
It might be a little bit more in that camp, but it's definitely because you've got all these like powerhouse actors. It's like who can outact Christopher Walken essentially is, you know, I think the psychological is in the sort of gritty film noir quality. Similar to Angel Heart. Angel Heart is like all over the goddamn map though.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're just you just really want to see Mickey Rourke and Lisa Bonet go at it, that movie is for you. And I know like there's another, I think on our last Patreon, somebody asked us if there's a film that we'd ever want to just like jump to. And that is Ken Russell's The Devils. So this is available right now, as of the time of this taping. Was it Oliver Reed, Vanessa Redgrave? And it's more of the devil of institutionalized religion. It's going to come and make you go do some bonkers things.
Yeah.
So that's very psychological. Oh man, where do we go?
It's so interesting. Those are all fascinating. I mean, I think A Dark Song and The Prophecy might fit angels and demons the best. Knocking out both of those. I think Devil probably M. Night Shyamalan's produced movie.
Like there's actually a devil. There's actually the devil.
And it is very psychological horror.
Yes.
Like very much.
Like so something like Frailty, which sounds like really amazing, but I think in the cycle, like that's gonna get pretty like stabby, you know?
And there's also a lot of movies that I think are metaphorical angels and demons. Like Jacob's Ladder is very much about wrestling with angels and demons.
Yeah.
Danny
Aiello, come on. Danny Aiello is like amazing in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What do we do? We're all over the place. I mean, however, I would say I think we could pull together 6.
Oh, and roll for
and
it.
let the dice decide. Because I'm having a hard time with this one because we've got a lot of really good suggestions.
Well, let me ask you this, which is a question you often ask when we're in a situation: is what kind of movie do you want to see?
I know.
And if the answer
I just want to
is
watch
like,
something that doesn't take place in the rolling hills of California. Because that would make like 3 in a row that we've watched now. I'm like, I get it.
Yes.
I get it.
Okay, so
which I think The Prophecy probably is. So I talked myself into a corner there.
Okay, so here are the ones that we kind of really were landing on. So Devil.
Okay.
A Dark Song, which is a wild card. Neither of us know this movie at all.
Never seen it, but it's been recommended by a past guest. So
yeah, so I think that's fair game. Do we want to keep The Prophecy on this list, or do we want to
say sure? Yeah,
it fits. I also always like getting
Renegade
these 90s
Angels
movies. Yeah,
yeah.
We've got The Prophecy, so that's 3. The Omen.
Yep. Huesera.
Oh, yep. Etc.
We got one more.
That's 5, so we need
Ooh.
one more on there.
I
Um,
think I think as a final, it would either be the Devils
oh,
or
the
Saint Maud.
let's do the Devils.
I would say the Devils because listen, grab it while it can because it might go back into the never never world of you cannot. This movie is unavailable to stream.
Yeah, because I think it is only on Criterion right now.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I made up a list. Do you want to roll for which movie we get?
Sure.
Okay, so here are the numbers. Roll 1, it's Devil. 2, A Dark Song. 3, The Prophecy. 4, The Omen. 5, Huesera, the Bone Woman. 6, The Devils.
Oh, here we go. That's a 4.
We're gonna watch The Omen.
Classic.
Ah, so good. Okay, let's do just a quick check, make sure that is available. It is available to rent,
Great.
so we can watch The Omen 1976. Awesome. Thank you all for listening. Thank you, Cecil, for talking with me. And if you have any thoughts on Pumpkinhead or ideas for other movies that would have been really great, Angels and Demons meets psychological horror, let us know on Instagram at randomhorror9 or on our Patreon, where we have a public discussion thread for each episode, and you do not need to be a paying member to participate in those. So watch The Omen 1976 with us this week, and come on back next Tuesday for a new episode. Have a restful night with no dirt bike shitheads in front of your general store or nothing. Boo.